US dollar has been the dominant force across the globe since dropping the gold standard and moving into a standard based on oil. They call it the petrodollar, but many of these oil-producing nations who keep this alive are starting to rethink their positions. They want a new currency. They want dollar dominance to end. Could this new currency be backed by Bitcoin? There's a better chance of that happening than you think. So think hard, because it's time for Chico Crypto. The oil-producing nations are going hard against the US, and yesterday the markets didn't react well to the news, with an overall fall off of a cliff. The only thing going up was oil. I wonder why. Well, because OPEC Plus agreed to deep oil cuts despite pressure from the United States. From the article we can see it says, OPEC Plus agreed to its deepest cuts to oil production since the 2020 Rona panic. Saudi Arabia and other members of OPEC Plus, which groups the organization of the petroleum exporting countries and other producers, including Russia, have said they are seeking to prevent volatility rather than to target a particular oil price. The West has accused Russia of weaponizing energy, creating a crisis in Europe that could trigger gas and power rationing this winter. Moscow, meanwhile, accuses the West of weaponizing the dollar and financial systems such as SWIFT in retaliation for Russia sending troops into Ukraine in February. The West is accusing Russia and other OPEC Plus nations of manipulating oil prices, while Russia and other OPEC Plus nations like Venezuela and Iran are accusing the West of manipulating the financial system. Obviously, they are starting to think about alternatives to US dollar dominance. The writing is on the wall. And that writing is getting clearer with each passing day. Back in June of this year, it was announced that the Brics nations, whose primary members include Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, were looking to create their own reserve currency. From the article, we can see it says, the matter of creating the international reserve currency based on the basket of currencies of our countries is under review. Putin told the Brics Business Forum, we are ready to openly work with all fair partners. Then, lower down in the article, we can see it states, this is a move to address the perceived U.S. hegemony of the IMF, ING's global head of markets, Chris Turner, said in a note. It will allow Brics to build their own sphere of influence and unit of currency within that sphere. Now you may be saying, what about the OPEC Plus nations? Nations like Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern oil producing countries that are not a part of Brics. Well, further down in the article it states, one possibility is that the Brics basket currency could attract the reserves not just of the group members, but also countries already in their range of influence. These include nations in South Asia and the Middle East. So these oil-producing OPEC nations are likely going to be involved in the creation of this new reserve currency. And the BRIC nations are moving quickly with its creation. As we can see earlier this week, more news was released regarding the reserve currency. This article, BRICS countries hold talks on reserve currencies, states, the BRICS countries are working on establishing a new reserve currency to better serve their economic interests, Ambassador-at-Large of Russia's Foreign Ministry Pavel Kanazev said. The possibility and prospects of setting up a common single currency based on a basket of currencies of the BRICS countries is being discussed. According to the diplomat, member states are actively studying mechanisms to exchange financial information to develop a reliable alternative for international payments. So, what about Bitcoin? Will this benefit BTC? Well, from this article titled Putin's BRICS New Currency Could Benefit Gold and Bitcoin, we can see it states, safety, liquidity, and return make a great reserve currency, which is why BRICS could potentially look towards gold. We doubt the mercantilist nations involved in BRICS would want to transfer valuable FX reserves into this more local sphere of influence. If they are worried about the path of sanctions and the increasing weaponization of the dollar, they, like Russia, might prefer to move into gold. Another asset that could benefit from a bigger de-dollarization move is Bitcoin, said Wells Fargo's real asset strategy head, John LaForge. Gold and Bitcoin will benefit from this, and they both could be used to back the currencies of the BRIC nations who would be involved in the reserve basket of currencies. So are the BRICS nations and the OPEC nations starting to warm up to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Well, everyone knows Russia is. Back in March of this year, it was announced by Russian lawmakers that the country would be willing to trade its oil and gas exports for Bitcoin. In the article it says, in a news conference, Pavel Salvani said Western countries can pay in the ruble and gold if they want to buy Russian energy. But for friendly countries like China and Turkey, the country is open to payment in their own currencies, or even the leading cryptocurrency, he said. Then, just last month, the Bank of Russia announced it was legalizing cryptocurrencies for cross-border transactions. The article on this states, Alexei Moiseev, Russia's deputy finance minister, has stated that the Bank of Russia and the finance ministry anticipate legalizing cross-border cryptocurrency payments soon. Russia is on board, but what about the other BRICS nations? Brazil, India, China, and South Africa. Well, in June of this year, Brazil introduced a bill to make crypto payments legal. This Cointelegraph article states, the proposed addition in Article 835 of the Civil Procedure Code states that while crypto assets are not a currency in and of themselves, they could be used as a financial asset, means of exchange or payment, or instrument of access to goods and services or investment. Then, just after this, Brazil's most famous city, Rio de Janeiro, announced they were moving forward with their Bitcoin integration plans. This article says, Rio de Janeiro's Secretary of Finance and Planning, Andrea Sanko, recently revealed in an interview that her team is looking to spur the adoption of Bitcoin by adding the digital asset to the city's treasury portfolio. To help with these efforts, the city government has established the Municipal Committee for Crypto Investments, the role of which, according to Sanko, is as follows. The Municipal Committee for Crypto Investments, established in March of 2022, works on a policy for investment in crypto assets and a governance model for decision-making. The isolated initiative has garnered some traction on a national level. Brazil's central government recently published a detailed document outlining a 0% tax on the import of Bitcoin mining gear, with the only caveat being that the equipment should be powered by renewable energy wholly. Brazil's in, but what about China? Well, as we know, last year in May, China decided to ban crypto mining. Well, the miners are still mining. It was reported this year that despite the ban, China was resurging as a dominant mining force. The Bloomberg article states, while the U.S. extended its leading position as the dominant location for Bitcoin mining, China has re-emerged as the second largest locale despite a government ban on the activity last year. Despite the government's repeated bans, possession of cryptocurrency within China is still 100% legal, which Cointelegraph reported just last month. What about India? Well, if you didn't know, India is one of the biggest countries in terms of Bitcoin adoption. Chainalysis just last month ranked countries by their adoption, and from the map we can see India is ranked number 4, even outdoing the United States, who is ranked number 5. And India is set to finalize its stance on the legality of cryptocurrencies by the first quarter of next year. This Bitcoin.com article on this states, one of the questions that we, India, have to respond is on the legality of cryptocurrencies, since we have already started to tax them. We will finalize our responses by February to March of 2023. We have to respond to the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, by May. Now, what about the last BRICS nation, South Africa? Well, back in August of this year, CoinDesk reported that South Africa's central bank greenlighted financial institutions to serve crypto clients. So all of the BRICS nations are involved with Bitcoin and crypto in one way or another, becoming friendly to legalizing it, regulating it, and getting it involved with their financial infrastructures. But what about the OPEC Plus nations? Well, Saudi Arabia's central bank just added a crypto chief last month to boost their digital ambitions, Bloomberg reported. Then the UAE, United Arab Emirates, is making a play to become the global cryptocurrency hub. The Reuters article states, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, in the last few months, the pair have handed out more than 30 licenses and passed new laws for crypto exchanges to operate in the cities. The two largest OPEC nations are going all in with crypto too. And if you look at the other OPEC nations, they are following suit. These nations' currencies could be backed by gold and Bitcoin, and that would be against the US dollar dominance. And this could happen sooner than anyone thinks. Cheers, viewers. I'll see you next time.